This session builds on a previous session where we presented a possible reference architecture for NDC. Here we will examine how this reference architecture can be used to define your roadmap to NDC adoption. We have considered large and small airlines for this, and therefore we will cover both Tier 1 and smaller airlines in this session. In both cases, these airlines have similar business objectives. They want to take advantage of offer and order management. Basically, they want to do NDC end-to-end. They also want to support dynamic pricing, rich media, and personalization. First, let's consider this Tier 1 airline. The first activity here is the elaboration of the heat map. This heat map will highlight the missing building blocks in your reference architecture and the building blocks which should be renovated. By the way, this exercise will also highlight the possible duplication overlaps in your current IT landscape. It is a good idea to go through this exercise jointly with IT and business team. It will help address some of the healthy tensions existing between the two sides, and it will also help get to a shared understanding of the current situation and the endgame. In fact, this heat map exercise should identify the gaps between the current situation and this desired endgame. In turn, it will also identify the necessary activities ahead in order to reach this NDC endgame. Here, one of the objectives of this Tier 1 airline is to do NDC end-to-end first. Basically, put in place the necessary platforms to cover both offer and order management first. As part of this first step, this airline will also consider its airline profile and decide which markets it wants to serve. The integration layer will also be part of this first step. Indeed, it can be quite difficult to articulate a business case just for an integration platform. Often, this infrastructure block is bundled with a business block. This is the case here. Then it is easier to articulate a business case for both offer management, order management, and the integration platform together. The second objective for this Tier 1 airline is to support dynamic pricing. Clearly, the pricing modules and the revenue management blocks needs to be examined, and then may need to be renovated. For example, so that the pricing modules can scale to new demands in terms of massive look-to-book ratios. Also, clearly, the integration between the offer management and the pricing modules needs to be looked at. It may have a direct impact on the performance, the scalability of the overall NDC management solution. Some arbitration may be required between conflicting architecture principles to ensure that your architecture meets your performance and scalability requirements, for example. This last point actually highlights a key benefit of a modular landscape. Because the landscape is modular, you can make separate architecture decisions for each individual block. For example, you may want to scale up or scale out your offer management module because it will have to support many shopping conversations. At the same time, you may want to keep your order management module as is because you will not see as many order management conversations clearly. The third objective is to support the offer management block with rich media, image and video, for example. Here, when you look at the previous and ongoing NDC pilots, two issues emerge. Often the rich media block is tightly coupled with the airline.com block. If the airline wants to leverage this rich media across all its channels, it may want to decouple these two blocks. The second issue airlines often face with rich media is that this media is distributed across the entire airlines and sometimes its local suppliers, with no central repository. In this case, a consolidation and centralization exercise may be required as a first step. However, here there are some good news. There are indeed no real dependencies between this NDC building block and others, like offer or order management. In most cases, activities for the deployment of these NDC building blocks can be started in parallel with other NDC activities. In addition to providing anonymous offers by default, the final objective of this airline is to also provide personalized offers for customers wanting personalized offers. Clearly, the CRM modules, and especially its integration with offer management and with the pricing modules, will need to be looked at and may require some work. Now, we are going through the associated roadmap. It is derived from the previous joint heat map exercise. It will show the various stages of NDC transformation for this particular T1 airline. This roadmap can also highlight interdependencies between these steps. The first step of this roadmap is to establish a platform supporting both NDC offer and order management. This step also includes the deployment of an integration platform so that the airline can link up its existing assets to these new NDC building blocks. Once the fundamental NDC platform is deployed, this airline can then focus on additional benefits associated with NDC. As a step 2, this particular airline wants to support dynamic pricing, for example. This may require work around its pricing and revenue management modules. Rich media consolidation is the third step in this particular roadmap. As we said before, there are few dependencies between this particular stream of activities and others. Resource permitting, this particular airline could decide to address rich media at any time, really. The last step of this roadmap is looking at offering personalized offers. As we saw before, this roadmap is derived from the previous joint heat map exercise. It shows the 4 broad steps this airline will follow to reach its endgame. Now we are considering a Tier 2, Tier 3 airline. In this scenario, this airline has similar business objectives to the previous one. It wants to take advantage of offer and order management, do NDC end-to-end. It also wants to support dynamic pricing, rich media, and personalization. So basically, the heat map and associated roadmap could be fairly similar to the one we have just seen. We will not cover those here. Instead, we will look at possible deployment strategy for smaller airlines. Indeed, they should consider cloud-based solutions. And clearly, this statement could also be valid for all airlines. However, given the specific context, this proposition may make even more sense for smaller airlines. Indeed, the cost of running IT infrastructure and NDC solution can be proportionally fairly high when compared with larger airlines. Smaller carriers may also be less likely to have the technology footprint and financial ability to support these significant investments in one go. So for all these reasons, smaller carriers may be more likely to purchase NDC as a cloud service, rather than going for the traditional build or buy options. The small airline is considering purchasing these 3 additional blocks: offer management, order management, and the API management block itself as cloud services. Clearly, this also illustrates that the integration layer needs to support the integration of blocks inside and outside the organization, and it needs to do so in a cost-effective, scalable, and secure manner. Broadly speaking, cloud solutions have 4 key characteristics. They are service-focused. Users focus on SLAs, service level agreements, and reliability of the overall solutions. These services are scalable. They can scale on demand. Resources can be added or removed as needed. Solutions are not designed to satisfy just-in-case scenarios anymore. This can result in more cost-effective proposition. Cloud solutions are often multi-tenants. The infrastructure is shared by many tenants or users. This is a key feature to build economies of scale. Cloud services are often subscribed to on a contract basis. Need for important upfront investments are limited. Overall, these 4 attributes make cloud services quite attractive to smaller airlines in the first place. But clearly, it could also be an attractive proposition to larger airlines too. To conclude this session, we have 4 broad tips which should help an airline jumpstart its NDC initiative. The first tip is about defining your strategy first. What strategic objectives do you have? The first step, you indeed need to articulate your strategic objectives. NDC is just an enabler for your strategy. Once you have defined your strategic objectives, then you can see how NDC is able to support and shape this strategy. You know the end game? You can work on the roadmap to get there. This is the logical sequence. As we saw before, there can be tensions between business and IT. However, an alignment is key for the success of this transformation program. The road mapping exercise we have just gone through can be a good opportunity for alignment between the two parties. It will help getting to a common understanding of the current situation, the end game, and the tasks ahead in order to get there. This step-by-step approach can also help with strengthening the business case for NDC. Traditionally, each step will require a business case that stands on its own merits. You can use the early steps in your roadmap to gain data supporting your business case for the following phases.